I remember the pictures of the both of them together when they were doing the Van Halen tour.
Yeah. So, all right. So, Dave's more...
Sammy is not taller than you or me, and we're 5'8" on a good day.
On a good day, standing on my tippy toes.
Exactly, and and Dave is taller than us.
Yeah, he's like Dave's 6 foot. At least.
Well, I don't know if he's 6, but he's up there. Anyway, who would win? That's a good question. I don't know. I feel like I'm giving it to Dave because I don't know. He has studied, but does he know how to fight? But it's a whole self-defense thing. And I don't know. I mean, I think he can handle. I don't know.
Listen, Dave's taller. He's got way more flexibility. He's also, I think, got a little bit of more of an attitude edge than Sam.
Yeah, that's true.
And he's got a little edgy there, and he's got the reach for sure.
Yes.
And he could probably run away easier, like Sammy. But Sammy, man, I have a feeling that if Sammy gets his hands on you, though, you might be in trouble. I mean, I think Dave could probably deflect pretty good. It's cage deathmatch. Jesus Christ.
It's tough. I'll give it to Dave, but I think it would be a good fight.
I think it would be pretty goddamn close, man. I'm thinking a draw in my mind, but I don't know. It depends. If Sammy gets in there, I mean, he might be the red Altacocker now. But back in the day, he could throw down, put your dick in the dirt. All right, so letter number 7. Oh, you got to know how to throw that in there. Letter number 7. Oh, Dave, he did it again.
I know.
Devon Miller. And by the way, his name is Devon.
Yes.
So he explains it to you, and he sticks right up your crapper.
Yep.
So he says here, hey, Dave and Dave, thank you for reading my last letter on the episode. I know it was a slog, but I am trying to make it shorter this time. That's what Dave says every morning.
Hey now.
I did want to weigh in on Eddie playing keyboards in concert. However, I think they went to recorded keyboards. So the 1984 tour is no debate. Eddie played keyboards live, and no one played guitar during those few songs. 5150 tour, no debate at all. Eddie played keyboards live, and Sammy played guitar. Although he played different solos than what Eddie played on the record, that will be important later on. In the OU 812 tour, Eddie played some keyboards live, but some of the live concert clips I have seen, there are some experimenting with piping in keyboards while Eddie played guitar. Not sure if this was recorded keyboards or somebody else playing live along with the band off stage. Too hard to tell with the grainy footage. On the Fuck tour, Eddie played all the guitar parts live. All the keyboards were piped in, and I noticed that Alan would put on headphones during the keyboard songs, which you can clearly see on the Live Right Here, Right Now concert DVD. This is what makes me suspect that the keyboards were recorded along with a click track that he could only hear in the headphones. That way he could stay in time with the recorded keyboard parts. If the keyboard player was live and just off stage, he could be able to adjust as Alex sped up or slowed down, but since Alex wore the headphones, I think it was a big clue that the keyboards were pre-recorded. Balance tour, to the latest. By this point, Alex is wearing in-ear monitors, and he would be able to have whatever he needed piped into his ear so no one else would hear it. So again, the keys could be live, but I think by this time they had already played to the recorded keyboard successfully and could have continued with that, mainly because I believe Eddie didn't want anybody else playing his parts. Which segues into the reason why I think Sammy didn't continue playing guitar on the keyboard songs. I think Eddie didn't like that Sammy either couldn't or wouldn't copy what he played on the records. I remember reading in an interview with Eddie where he inferenced a tour during the Roth years where Mikey actually played the keyboard parts to the song during the show, and in that interview, Eddie made a comment like, he didn't play it as well as I played it. So I believe that either Sammy felt the pressure to play the guitar the way Eddie did, and Sammy was like, dude, you are the guitar player, so I will step aside and let you do it. Or maybe Eddie was like, dude, I want to play the guitar parts the way I wrote them, and Sam stepped aside to avoid friction. I don't have 100% proof on any of that, but I do have a set of clues that fits that theory. Anyway, I always love the podcast and have been listening since you released episode 1. Keep up the great work, Devon Miller. P.S. David Cribley, you pronounced the name correctly. Dave Marconi is mistaken, misinformed, and flat wrong. Let's repeat that again. Dave Marconi is mistaken, misinformed, and flat wrong. It is a French pronunciation, like de Soto. So, phonetically, it is Devon, not Devon. PPS, I noticed you started singing Elton John's song Leave On when you two were debating how to pronounce my name. An old co-worker of mine used to sing that song using my name every time he came in. He said, Devon likes his money. All right. Well, Devon, you are anything but not long-winded. So, this is incredible, but I do like your enthusiasm, and you make a good point. So he likes his name pronounced Devon, and Devon shall be his name. So he says, Quiet Dave is wrong. Devon likes the way I pronounce his name. He says Quiet Dave is wrong.
Congratulations, you were right.
All right, good. Anything to stick it up your crack. All right, so the keyboard situation. This is a little bit weird because I thought Eddie Van Halen was having a blast playing with Sam on the 5150 tour. If you looked at that tour, I saw it live and I saw it on Live Without a Net. Eddie seemed to be happiest when he was playing keyboards live and jamming with Sam as he played guitar. I never thought that Eddie had a problem with Sam playing guitar. I think if you listen to some of the interviews from the 5150 sessions, he's like, this is incredible. Like, Sam's like a musician. So, like, I felt like when they brought Sam into the fold, you know, Sam was more of a fellow musician. He played guitar. He wrote music. Like, he had more of a musical mind, whereas Dave was very much a singer, very much a frontman. Sam was all those things, but he was also very much a musician. I remember clips of them jamming at sound checks. They seemed so elated to have Sam in the band about that. That is something Dave and I had talked about for a long time, and the more as time goes on, the more I felt like the real peak with Sam was 5150. And then as time went on, from OU812 to the Fuck album to Balance, like everything started to unravel slowly and got less and less fun for them. I don't understand why. But as we have learned, there was tensions that Sam had beginning in OU812 and increased with the Fuck album and intensified with Balance and exploded with the Twister Greatest Hits situations. I think Sammy was letting Eddie do whatever he wants. And I also think he was being lazy. Musically, I think those guys were jazzed on the 5150 tour, and everything else seemed laborious to them. I don't think they liked Sam doing that solo album. And I really felt like he was getting lazy and he didn't want to tour as much, and he took off time in between albums more and more. And the brothers seemed to really be more motivated than Sam work-wise. And I think the less Sam had to do, the better. I think Sam's biggest achievement was 5150, and now he wanted to kind of cruise a bit. He kept calling Van Halen the biggest band in the world in 1988, but who was he kidding? I think Eddie wanted full control on the music, and Sam was letting him have it, to be honest. So what do you think, Dave?
Yeah, I think for some reason, I mean, Ed liked playing keyboards, but as time went on, I think maybe he just liked playing guitar more, and they didn't want somebody else on stage playing keyboards, so he just had them pre-recorded, which is a shame because I definitely would have loved to see Ed play keyboards and Sam play guitar. I would have loved if they did that more in the studio too. Such a lost opportunity, as you and I have opined on before.
Mm-hmm. Okay. We're on to letter number 8, and this comes from Ignacio Mogni. And he says, Hey guys, I was listening to episode 54, browsing the internet for some Van Halen goodies, and I came across an LP called The Many Faces of Van Halen, a journey through the inner world of Van Halen. It seems it was released last year, but I haven't seen it anywhere. It's an unofficial as shit, but I guess it still counts as something related to the band. Maybe? I read a little pamphlet in Spanish from my website called Music Brokers, which seems to be in the United States, that reads, We all delve into its history and the collaborations of its members and its influences and the fantastic catalog of the band, which seems odd because there's only 3 CDs and 3 songs are truly Van Halen originals. The rest are a few collaborations from Eddie, Gary, Sammy, and maybe even Dave's Ashley song, and a lot of cover versions, tribute bands, and other people. Check out the track list I've attached. It's a shit show and a cash grab. Ignacio Mogni. Ignacio, yeah, we did a piece on this in the Van Halen Halen news a while back, and this is a 3-song set of rarities and stuff like that. There's a lot of tribute stuff on here, like Stephen Pearcy with Jakey Lee and Frankie Banali and Tim Bogart doing like Running with the Devil. There's 5150 and Van Halen, 2 Van Halen tribute bands doing Why Can't This Be Love and Jamie's Crying respectively. Then there's that stuff Ed collaborated on with Dave Garfield, like If 6 Was 9, Enough's Enough doing Yankee Rose, original versions of songs Van Halen covered, like Dancing in the Street.
It's just like it's this whole hodgepodge.
Yeah, it's a hodgepodge. But there's some interesting things on there. If you're a diehard, there's some rare stuff from Gary on there from his pre-Extreme band The Dream, which is hard to find prior to that. It's just a lot of stuff like if you're a hardcore, you get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Letter number 9 is also from Ignacio Mogni. This guy got a little inspired this month. Hey, Dave and Dave, I sent an email to one of the members of Black Oak, Arkansas, Ricky Lee Reynolds, asking him about the David Lee Roth, Jim Dandy Mangrum influence/ripoff, and he said the following. We met and are friends with the Van Halen guys. Eddie himself told us that David used to come to our shows, film Jim to study his moves. We consider this to be a compliment, not an insult. They became giants by studying what we do and how we do it. That's great to us. Guns N' Roses, Jaggle, Kentucky Headhunters have all told us they wouldn't have been a band without Black Oak, Arkansas. That makes us great. What's your take on the idea? Do you wish you could get Jim Dandy Mangrum or Ricky Lee Reynolds on and ask them some more information about that? Ignacio Mogni. Well, I say to you, Ignacio, you just wait, young man, possibly in the future. And that's all I'm going to say about that. We shall see, sir. We shall see.
If you want to hear Jim Dandy's story on it, go on YouTube and watch, I forget what it's called. It's like the Van Halen story, the early years.
Yeah.
And they interview him. And he is, totally flattered that Dave saw him as an inspiration. And he says he remembers Dave coming to the shows and watching him and checking out his moves and stuff like that.
Wow.
So he doesn't see Dave as a ripoff. He's very flattered that Dave found inspiration from him.
There you go. All right, cool. Excellent. So, letter number 10 comes from Steve Matthews. And he says, hey, Dave and Dave, I'm a massive fan of Van Halen, Roth, Sammy, and your podcast. I'm a full-time pro guitarist, and I work in musical theater where there's 80% of the guys are gay. My gaydar with Roth is extremely high. Not because he's not married, but his personality and mannerisms. Discuss amongst yourselves. Maybe you could do some extra podcasts for us poor musicians stuck at home with no gigs. Once a month is not enough. Maybe some special COVID episodes. Keep up the great work. All the best, Steve Matthews. Well, Mr. Steve Matthews, this I have to say to you, my friend. First of all, have you noticed the size of the episodes every month? Oh, my God.
Is a 4 or 5 hour podcast not long enough?
Oh, my God. It's been crazy. So, we've been going longer during COVID, and going longer is something Dave's not used to. So,
too slow. I was totally going to throw that line at you. I'm too slow. I'm old and 50 and slow.
I'm 50 years old, 50. All right, so listen, Steve. So in terms of the whole gaydar thing with Dave, Madonna mia. All right, so anyway, we actually addressed this on the last episode. If you listened, we talked about it in the mailbag section. I think it might have been Shannon the Dude who put us in touch with this interview from 1997. I'm going to repeat the part real quick here for you, where there's this interview with Dave, and they ask him, did you ever swing the other way? Meaning homosexual. And he says, I am not gay. I have never been. Don't you think for a second that if I was gay, I would have made goddamn sure that everybody choked on that one? Man, I'd ruin everyone's day with that one. So that's Dave directly answering that question. Now, Dave's been a celebrity for over 42 years. I don't think he has been outed at all about anything. I think we have an intense media, and he has had a long string of girlfriends, and there's no evidence to any of this, to be honest with you. Is he flamboyant? Yeah, of course, but he's a fucking rock star. So, what can I tell you? He's a rock star from the 70s, and, they're all flamboyant at that point. So I don't know what you expect Dave answered his question. So what am I supposed to say? I can't speak for this guy. So what do you think, Dave?
Yeah, I mean, this is not the first time that Roth's sexuality has come up, and is he swinging the other way or is he swinging both ways? Look, Dave is certainly flamboyant. He's got a certain way he dresses that other people would not.
Yeah, well,
he's brave. He's braver than most in that regard. And hey, what can I tell you? I mean, for me, I don't care.